Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The heavyweight boxing calendar, it is fast filling up with good fights for 2018, with another sneaky good matchup being made for late April between former titleist Bryant Jennings and former world youth champion Joey Dawejko. And I've got a statement from Joey Dawejko on this fight, so more on that in a moment. But first, so Jennings, he has been working his way back into contention for a title shot after what was a hiatus of almost 2 years. So that followed his knockout loss to Luis Ortiz at the end of 2015. He just decided to get off the treadmill, stop the continual training camp fight, and he decided, well, he wanted to take a break from that. But he was never far away from the sport. He kept in shape and he was drafted into the odd training camp for other fighters to give some other fighters some sparring work. But since he's made his ring return in August 2017, Jennings, he's fought relatively modest opposition in the form of Daniel Martz, Don Hainsworth and Arkur Muralimov. But the 22-2 top-ranked promoter Jennings, he's now going to take on a real heat check sort of fight in the form of 24-4 Joey Dawejko. And Dawejko's record, it probably understates actually how good a fighter he is. Remember, this is a guy with really good amateur pedigree, a former world youth champion, and he owns a draw against Jarrell Miller. So this isn't a journeyman. And factor in that Dawejko, he hasn't been beaten since 2015, and that was a KO loss to Amir Mansour, another very good fighter. This April 28th fight in Philadelphia, which is going to be broadcast on ESPN, it's not going to be easy work for Bryant Jennings. He's going to have to really put in a good performance to get the job done here. I actually see this, and I sort of alluded to this, it's a bit of a heat check, and this is for both guys. So Jennings, he is trying to position himself as a viable world challenger again. And Dawejko, it would actually really announce his arrival amongst the contenders, because until now, I think it's fair to say he's been a bit on the fringes. But as we know, a win over a known face like Jennings, it could have big implications for him and the potential to open a lot of doors. And I've been in touch with Joey Dawejko to ask him, how did this fight come about? Because he was due to face Junior Farr back on March 9th. But then he pulled out, and at the time he said, I've got something big coming, an announcement is coming soon. And it's turned out to be this Bryant Jennings fight. And it is a good fight. It's a bigger fight, and it's a good fight for Jennings as well. So I've also asked Joey Dawejko, what is the challenge that Bryant Jennings represents? How does he intend to counter the height and reach advantage? And what does a win mean? So Dawejko, he says this fight was presented to us by Russell Peltz to have an all-Philly showdown, and it makes a lot of sense for me to take it. Bryant Jennings is always in tremendous shape and always comes ready to fight. I'll be looking to come in the best shape of my career and have my skills sharpened by great training and the best sparring. Fighting taller guys is what I'm used to, so his height and reach doesn't mean anything. There's no way he can get anyone like me to spar with. I'm a short heavyweight with a lot of power and great boxing skills. A win over Jennings puts me in talks for big money fights and to mix it up with the top of the division. This is going to be a great fight. Watch April 28th on ESPN. That was Joey Dawejko's statement. And I will look to catch up with Joey Dawejko again in a couple of weeks while he's in camp, just to sort of see how he's tracking and get a bit of comment as well from Bryant Jennings if I can. So if we touch on what Joey Dawejko has said, an all-Philly showdown between pretty much the best couple of heavyweights in the area, it probably will ensure some bums on seats. I mean, there is nothing like a good domestic or local rivalry. Dawejko's comment about Jennings always coming in shape, well, that's on point because Jennings, he's a noted gym rat. He's going to come into April 28th. He will be in shape. So that means that Dawejko, he better be in shape as well, because if he's not, Jennings will look to exploit that over the scheduled 10-round bout. And I did specifically ask about Jennings' natural height and reach advantages because we're talking about a 4-inch height advantage. And according to BoxRec, it would be a 14-inch, yes, 14-inch reach advantage.
What did he say?
And in the scheme of things, that's massive. That's like Bryant Jennings' 84-inch reach. That's knuckles dragging on the ground sort of stuff. In terms of sparring, Dawejko, he's right. Jennings, he will find it hard to find top-level sparring that can replicate a short heavyweight like himself. But in the same breath, we need to realise Jennings, the taller, rangier guy with really good boxing skills, he's got some good silky boxing skills. And you would think, if he's smart, he'll try to keep the fight long, keep Dawejko at distance. But in saying that, Jennings, he did want to mix it up with Luis Ortiz on the inside. Ultimately, he got clipped and paid the price. So game plans, they are definitely key for this fight. And with Dawejko training out of Hollywood with Freddie Roach, he's in good hands, and I'm sure they will try to devise a strategy to try nullify Jennings' advantages. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This will be a very tough fight for Dawejko. And Jennings, he heads into it as the favourite, and probably rightly so. But part of me, it does wonder, where exactly is Bryant Jennings at right now? He's 33, he's been relatively inactive overall since 2015. And given the self-imposed hiatus, where is his level of desire at? Does he really want this life anymore? Or is it simply just time for a paycheck? So from that standpoint, there is a few open questions which Bryant Jennings, he does need to answer. And from the earlier statement from Joey Dawejko, you can tell that he's clearly motivated to improve his stock in the division, his standing, get some decent paychecks, get in the mix. So Jennings, he better come prepared, because I'm sure from what we've heard from Joey Dawejko, he will be. I really do like this fight though, and it's good to see some of the better American heavyweights jumping in the ring together, because as we know, it doesn't happen nearly often enough. And the American heavyweight scene, it does need more of these fights to help spark some more interest in the heavyweight scene in general in the US, and that's always good for boxing as a whole. I'm looking forward to April 28th, and I'm glad it's going to be televised on ESPN. I'll be watching. How about you? What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.